Oh, 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 oh.
Hi, welcome back to another episode of Learntoreason. I'm your host, Josh, and today I'm so pleased to bring you a tutorial showing you arguably the most iconic sound effect in film history, and that is the Lightsaber sound effect. Created by veteran sound designer Ben Burtt, this man, in the truest essence of the word, designed and created this sound. And willed it into existence. It had never been heard before. And he did that by taking two realistic but strange sounds. One from a simplex 35mm projector. In Ben Burtt's younger years, he was a projectionist, and in the projection booth, he heard an idle humming noise coming from the projector. And this was something that would project old film stock, like old silent films and such. And he took his microphone and he recorded it. Then he took that and layered it with another sound, which was also, ironically, accidentally discovered when he was carrying a microphone that was hooked up and he was passing behind a cathode ray tube, or CRT TV, and which was powered on. And the electromagnetic interference, or the EMI, created a buzzing sound that he recorded on his microphone behind the TV. And the electromagnetic interference, or the EMI, created this effect. He took that, he layered it with the projector hum, then he played it out through speakers, and using the Doppler effect, waved another microphone around, recording that sound again. And, swinging like a real lightsaber. So he could get the frequency changes in motion, otherwise known as the Doppler effect, and create this sound, to make it authentic, to make it realistic, which is why it works, and it's become so iconic. The motion of the microphone swinging it around and creating this effect it's pretty damn cool.
Okay, so you can see that I have set up the CRT TV buzz on one track. On the second track, I have the projector hum. Here's the buzz from the TV. Let me zoom out a little bit. That's what this window down here is for. You can click and drag the edges to affect your zoom. You can click and drag the edges of this window here. So you can hear the buzz. And now let's play the hum. This is the projector hum. If you don't have access to the physical technology that you would need, like the CRT TV or the projector, and you can't access a sound library to download files that have already been created and recorded for you, then you can try to recreate these sounds using a synthesizer by creating some oscillators, detuning them, and playing around sine wave shapes, some sawtooth wave shapes. Now you can see how, if I go back to the CRT-TV, let me solo out the CRT-TV buzz. Let me show you. The Doppler effect in motion. So this is frequency in motion. So when I took the microphone around and I was waving it behind the TV, you can see that in the waveform, right here, you can see the frequency is fluctuating. The amplitude is fluctuating. The amplitude is how loud it is. The frequency is how wide and narrow it is, which is also affected by so amplitude is volume, how loud it is, how quiet it is. Frequency is the pitch, how fast and slow it is. So you can already kind of hear it, kind of wah wah, together with the buzz and the projector hum. It already starts to sound like a lightsaber. And you can see I've layered in different cuts of the projector hum to loop certain areas of that recording. And that's a stock sound effect, by the way, of just the projector, an idle projector, 35mm projector. And where I have the loop set up, you can see that the buzz part of my recording is more constant. I just kept the microphone still. Unlike this part here. Let me solo it back out so you can hear this again. That's me moving the microphone around. You can see that the Doppler effect. Okay, let's check the mixer, F5. You can see that the CRT TV buzz it's about a constant -10 decibels, or right under that. The projector hum is fluctuating in its amplitude, so it's going up and down a little bit, but it's pretty close to 10. So they're pretty even. So we want them to be even before we get the microphone out and start recording again to get the true Doppler effect to get this lightsaber sound. So let's do that right now. Okay, so you set up your two sounds in Reason, you're playing it out of your speaker while you've created a new audio track in your DAW, whether it's Reason or not. Use a unidirectional microphone, not an omnidirectional microphone, a uni. This is a condenser AKG C1000. And you're just gonna wave it. You're just gonna wave it like a magic wand, because you're making sonic magic. Sonic seasonings. Just experiment with the different waves. You don't want the volume too loud, because then it starts to feedback and creates this flange effect that doesn't sound good. You want to leave it a little lower. Don't put the microphone too close to that speaker, and just play around with it. So now that we've recorded the final output, we can start really fine-tuning this. First thing you're going to want to do is to mute the original sound sources. So we can mute the CRT TV, we can mute the projector hum, and let's unmute. I recorded 2 audio tracks of the final output so that we have some variations. Now you can see, so there's some, look at the waveform here. Let me zoom in. And I'll play them. And I will play it so you can hear what I want to show you. Hold on. Hear that? Whoa. Hear that? So what that is me swinging the microphone too fast. I recorded it one more time, and I tried to control my swinging. So you can see that there is even an art to getting a Doppler effect for a lightsaber sound. There's a way to do it that's, I guess, graceful. So let's compare that with the second take. And you can see where I recorded these tracks over the original sources. Okay. So there's the variations. You're going to see that play out. There's a variation here. There starts to be variations here. And then in the hum. And then the buzz. It's constant in the loop, remember. But before the loop, it fluctuates. There are variations in both of the sound sources. So let's turn that up a little bit so you can hear it better. This sounds pretty close. Let's add some compression on it and play around with the EQ. But it sounds pretty close in certain spots. Now I can still tell where I'm swinging the microphone way too fast, and you can hear that. Yeah, right there. Yep. Okay. So let's put a compressor on there. Remember, click this arrow. Here's the track that we're working with, Final 2. Click that arrow to expand it. Click this arrow where it says Show Insert Effects. And then you can left click in there so that it's highlighted with the red line. Right click in the black box area within this device, track, and create an effect. M-class compressor. Let's bump up the input. Let's lower the threshold a little bit. And let's raise the ratio a little bit. Let's lower the attack. And let's, we can leave the, let's put the release down a little bit. Okay. Okay, and let's raise the... tell you what, let's EQ it. Let's bring the spectrum EQ down here so you can visualize the frequencies. You can see the amplitude of each frequency. Let's create a high-pass filter, which is just going to cut out the lowest sub-frequencies, or just the very extremely low range bass frequencies. And here what happens if I make a drastic cut, but let's roll it back, because we definitely need some low end in this. But we don't necessarily need that extremely low end. To manipulate the mid-range somehow. Something's getting lost in there. See, let's go back to 0 here. But if I increase something here in the 2000 hertz range, or 2 kilohertz range, the sub-bass frequencies, and I want to compensate for that by increasing some of the higher range of that low spectrum. So we're sculpting the sound. We're chipping away, we're chiseling away at it to just fine-tune it the exact way we want it. Put the HPF, the high pass filter, higher up, like 100 hertz. That's where the roll off starts. Okay. Now I was starting to increase the highs a little bit here. Well, here's a lot. Sounds way too harsh though. Let's lower that back to 0. We have our middle range slopes here, or bells. By the way, these slopes for the low range and the high range, the gray one and the red one. Gray is low, red is high. You can turn them into bells like the other nodes here. So let me just show you. If I turn the low frequency bell on, you can see that now it's a bell shape. Rather than just a straight slope down. Rather than a straight slope down or up, it is a bell shape. And that's sounding a little bit closer.
Da 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 da
dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Okay, so I actually went back and I re-recorded the Doppler effect again on the final output. So here's the track Final 3. And this time I did more careful, quick swings. And I'll go back to the last recording just to compare. And then we'll go back to the first one we did. Just doesn't sound quite right. So the closest we got is this new one. There's a couple of hits in there that sound very close. Now this is just the general sound. There's also impact hits. There's the beam extending out and going back down into the beaming up and beaming down the lightsaber. Those are all different sound effects. I think that they used metal on dry ice to get those beam up and down sounds. So this is just the general, how to do the general sound. Like I was saying earlier, you can also use a synthesizer. So I loaded up a Europa synthesizer device here, and I loaded up a preset called Pulse Rate. It's actually in the folder for the bass patches in Europa. And you can hear it here. So this is just a synth playing, pulse rate, right here. So I could take the microphone right now and do the same thing and record off the speaker to get the Doppler effect. And also, preferably you want to use a shotgun mic. So you can see here, there is a sine wave being used on oscillator 2. Oscillator 1, you have a pulse width wave. And you can also affect the detune here. As much as you want. You can play around with the detune knob. So let me go back to, they call them engine select. I call them oscillators. You can affect the detune on this one too. You can see the visual representation of the detuning going on right here. Looks like Tron, a little bit. Okay, now what I want to try next is, instead of doing the microphone to do the Doppler effect, I want to take that final output sound and just do modulation effects on them, to automate wheel movements of the keyboard, or I'll show you just virtually on the using Reason's virtual knobs how to automate that and recreate that Doppler effect. Okay, so first we're going to try the automation on our synth sound here. So to recreate a Doppler effect virtually, we need to automate pitch and panning. So where it's sitting physically in your sound space, we're moving it, we're changing the motion of it. And then the pitch, the frequency, will be automated and modulated as well. So to do that, let's hit F5, go to the mixer. Here's your channel for your synth, in this case pulse rate. Right click on this knob here. This is your pan knob. Right click on that, edit automation. Brings you up the sequencer. F7, in case you're like me and you accidentally click the other one. Make sure this knob, make sure this circle is lit up and highlighted. That's record enable parameter automation. Okay? And now you can just hit record.
You actually have to physically move these wheels as you're recording to automate them. Then you can double click on, once you're done automating, you can double click on it and see the nodes. And you can adjust the curves, delete, add new nodes, whatever you want to do. That's a little too harsh on the pan right there. Definitely right there. Okay. Okay, so on top of the Europa, I've expanded insert effects here. And then I right-clicked and inserted the stock Reason effect for a phaser, which you'll find right here. Effects, Reason devices, and the PH90 phaser. So this is bundled in with Reason. Now I lowered the frequency a tiny bit. You can see what happens if I start messing with the width. Sounds a little bit like a lightsaber. But you know, there's an art to this. To just the movement of these sound waves to get this precise lightsaber sound. There's an art to it. So let me right-click, edit automation. I made a track for the width, the phaser width. Now you can see it's already enabled parameter, record parameter automation. So let's go. Let's hit record. Start moving it. And what we're trying to do is, you know, there's a symbiotic relationship going on here with the panning, the spatialness of it, and the phasing or the frequency modulation of it. Okay, so let's back it up a little bit. Let's go back to our original sound sources. Okay, the original buzz, the original hum. Let's go to the mixer F5. Let's first pan the buzz. Right-click on the pan in the mixer. Edit automation. Make sure that the parameter is enabled there. Okay. Record. You can hear the panning that we just recorded. Okay, so that's it's only on the buzz, so let's do the same thing for the hum. We are going to highlight these clips. Control C. Make sure your snap button is on. If it's not, then where you place this bar here, if that's not highlighted, if you move this bar around, it will not be exact to the quarter note or the bar. Control V, paste it, click and drag it down, right in place. Now you've just copied the automation information. It saves you a lot of time. And, you know, you want the panning this sound is supposed to be one, so you want this to be exactly the same. You can see up here on the mixer, let me full screen that, you can see that they're doing the same thing. Okay, so by the way, when you're on the mixer, if you want a quick shortcut to see whatever channel you're working with, if you want to go jump to the sequencer or the rack to see this channel in those two things, then you click on these buttons at the bottom of the channel strips in the mixer. Click SEQ to go to the sequencer, and it'll highlight that track, CRT TV. Hit F5 again, go back. Projector hum, you can hit the rack, see where that is. There it is on the rack, okay? Let's click rack for CRT TV. We'll expand that. Show insert effects, click that. Right click, effects. We want the phaser again, Reason devices. PH90 phaser. Okay. Tell you what, let's right click this. The width again, we're gonna copy that over. From the synth. We're going to put that here. We're going to copy it again and again so that it fills out that space. We're going to hear how that sounds. The click track, sorry. Okay, but that's just on there. So let's get it on let's get it on this projector hum too. So effects, same thing. Reason devices, PH90, phaser. Right click on the width, and edit automation, make another automation track, copy this, Control C, Control V, plop that down there. It's too much. I went too crazy with the automation. It's too crazy. You know what? Let's go back. Let's do a more careful movement here. Go. That sounds better. Okay. I'm a little bit happier with that. All right. We'll copy that down to the other phaser. Feeling it's getting pretty good. And I think that my AKG microphone is just not hyper-directional enough to really pull off this technique perfectly. Now you get the basic concept, you get the process of how to complete this. So I really would like you, everybody in the comment section, to send me links of your own attempts at this. I would love to hear them. So I went back. And I tried it again, but I think that you really do need a hyper-directional shotgun mic. So when you're doing the waving, it really pulls off that isolated sound. So when you're waving it away, it's constant. When you're waving it away, it's pulling away completely. And I think with my microphone, it's bleeding a little bit every time I move. So I can't quite get it perfectly. I actually went back and I lowered the pitch. You can see the transpose here is -3. This is for the CRT TV. Now, the projector hum is also -5. So I went back and I lowered the pitch for both of those sounds by referencing the actual lightsaber sound. I also went back and I re-chopped up and looped the projector hum so it was more consistent. You can hear that here. Let me turn it up for you. Because I have this also running as a bed behind the final output. And there's different variations here too, so... There was a couple different pitches of the CRT TV on these ones. But yes, you definitely want to transpose down 3 semitones for the CRTV and about -5 semitones for the projector. So I also experimented with this shotgun microphone that's mounted to my DSLR. It's a Takstar. So even this, which is supposed to be a shotgun mic, essentially, is still just cardioid. It's not hypercardioid for the pickup pattern. All of these microphones are unidirectional, but they have different polar pickup patterns. It is still not isolating it completely on a very narrow band right in front of the microphone, which is what you absolutely need to match the quality of the Skywalker sound. So I have this MXL microphone. It's a hypercardioid condenser microphone. Let me first play you what I recorded using this MXL V67 microphone. Now the recording's soloed out. I'm gonna add the bed of the buzz and the hum. So that it's constantly running in the background underneath the swings. I have a couple of variations right here. I'll mute the bed again. So you can kind of hear the swinging effect, but you really need a shotgun mic. So this is the best I could do. It's a hypercardioid. Okay, so I did go back and I made some final tweaks to all of the sounds. So let's start with the CRTV buzz, the CRT-TV buzz. I still left it on -3 semitones. I went back and I redid the panning. You can see how I adjusted the panning here. I didn't do any drastic pans I didn't do any extreme pans. I just kept it closer towards the middle. And what I did was I copy and pasted. So I did a couple and then I just copy and pasted it. I also time stretched the buzz a little bit so that it's a little more stretched out. It altered the frequency a little bit. The projector hum, I recut a smaller, very small slice of that sound, the original sample of the projector, and I just copied it. And also recopied the panning, the new panning information from the CRT. Now on top of that, I added some white noise. So I created a Thor synthesizer right here. When you first create it, so you're gonna right click on the rack, you're gonna hit Instruments, Reason Devices, and the Thor Polysonic Synthesizer. It's gonna show up like this. It's when you first create it, it's gonna look like this. Click Show Programmer to expand it. And when it's gonna default probably to an analog here for the oscillator, analog oscillator. So click this little down arrow and choose noise. It's gonna default to white noise. You can see this button here changes the type of noise. And I increased the frequency a little bit because you need the high frequencies of this noise. And I adjusted the amp envelope to increase the attack, the delay, the sustain, and the release. And made a note that was sustained for 4 bars, and then I copied it over. So that's running in the background. So this is the sound now. Okay. And this is the recording with the MXL gold microphone. But yes, I definitely need. I would love to try this again with a high-end shotgun microphone because I think it would be much closer to Ben Burtt's authentic sound. I should mention, I also time stretched the projector hum a tiny bit. Just stretched it out, made it a little bit slower, just like the CRT. And I did that by referencing the actual sound, the actual lightsaber sound from the movies. And let's solo out the final output one more time without the bed behind it. See, it's right here. Just gonna drop right here. I really liked some of these over here. Here's the CRT EQ. So you can see I cut out the lows, I cut out the highs, bumped up a little bit in the middle, upper middle range here. You can see the EQ of the projector hum here. I did the same thing as the CRT and cut out the lows, the highs, and bumped the mid-range up. The white noise, here's the white noise. This is just high range. So you can see I cut out all the low and the lower mids. Most of the mids have been cut. And the final output, cut out below the lows, bumped up the upper mids, cut a little bit of the upper highs. And that's just the basic, general bed for that sound, for that lightsaber sound. There's so many other pieces to that sound that you hear in the movies. You hear the impacts when the 2 lightsabers hit. That's another sound. You hear when they beam them up. You hear when they beam them down. That's a different sound. And like I said, I think it is metal on dry ice. I don't have any dry ice. If I did, maybe I'll make an update to this video and I'll get some dry ice. We can do that. That sounds like fun. Anyway, this was a lot of fun. Thank you so much.
So thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. Happy music making, and peace out.